There we go.
Finger guns. Finger guns. Finger
That
guns.
dude's nuts, man.
All right,
Certified.
here we go.
Finger guns.
In a land 70 miles southeast of Boston, on a show that's just too damn early, we're ready to break some legs.
Wow, that was a long tongue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Too Damn Early Show. My name is D-Max.
And I'm Delia Jade.
And we're back for our 14th episode. We've done 14 of these things, man.
Wow.
Right?
Just this time round.
Yep, it is time for what we would call the season finale. Ding, ding, ding. The season finale.
We're gonna finagle a bagel and daggle it.
I mean, you can play with the pastries all you want, man. I'm going to stick to what I do best, which is, of course, this broadcast. So we got plenty of stuff we're going to talk about. I say that every time. I've realized how redundant that sounds. If you're getting tired of that, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're on YouTube or Facebook. Come on. We need the listeners, people. We got it. We can't keep doing this just for our own amusement. You got to step in. Tell us what you want. Give us a little bit of feedback.
Get big.
Or go home.
Or cry.
Live it.
Do it.
Be it.
Yes.
Yes. So, first off, let's talk a little bit about our lives. You recently went off to your hometown back over near Worcester, right?
I did. Millbury.
Millbury.
It's actually the reason why it's called Millbury is exactly how it sounds. It was a little town full of mills on the waterway. So that's where it has a lot of history in the country, actually. A lot. Extreme amount.
Do I smell a documentary on Millsbury?
Millsbury. That's
Millsbury.
funny. And you know what, Tony? You'd like it. There's a place called High Street.
There's a place called High Street in basically every major American town in the country.
And everything and around.
Can we talk about that real quick? Can we talk about that?
Sure.
The fact that every time Tony goes to a new place, if there's a High Street, he needs to find the exact address, 420 High Street, and he needs to smoke a blunt in front of it.
To be fair, that just happened on accident. The first time I went out there, I went into Boston because I was like, well, I've got a 20-hour drive. What's an hour deviation to Boston really gonna do to me? I can say I was there, drive through, find a cheap street parking space, and walk down the street, smoke weed, and leave. Little to my knowledge did I realize I parked at 120 High Street, so I knew what I had to do.
We have to go too far.
Is there a 420?
Is there a 420?
A 420 High Street.
Yes, is there
Technically,
a 420?
yes, but not really. There's no official 420 High Street, but technically speaking, if you go to the end of High Street at the triangle intersection right there, you are technically standing at 420 High Street.
Fair, but you know where there is? Actually, it's not a 420 High Street.
Where?
But you know where there is a 420 Main Street? Hyannis.
Oh, of course.
And you know what? I'm
course.
just gonna let everybody know, those of you who are in Cape Cod, you've seen this place, you've heard about it. It's full of a bunch of very, very Christian people to the point where I believe in Jesus, and it freaks me out. 420 Main Street is the Common Ground Cafe.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. You bring that up. I don't want to dabble into it a little bit because we got to get into the show, but I recently ran into one of them gentlemen.
Yeah, what are they like? What are they like? Tell me about something. Let's throw some shit.
People.
I bet they're lovely people.
Let me tell you
I bet they are.
I looked at this guy, and I knew more about him than he could have imagined. And he was like, really? I said, well, I used to work on Mid-Tech Drive, and we used to subcontract work to you about 20 years ago. He goes, really?
Really?
And he was like, wow, you're taking me back to when we started the business. And I said, yeah. And you used to come and do work, and actually, I don't know if it was you or whatnot. But I was telling him a little bit about it. But I used to know these people and actually interact with them every day.
Okay, that's fair. And to be fair, when I have gone into the Common Ground,
I think they were very
one time they were very nice. They gave me a free cup of coffee.
And very honest.
Maybe I should step my role back a little bit in the hostility. I like to make fun of everybody equally, I'll be honest here. But, the people at Common Ground, yeah, they gave me a free cup of coffee, they gave me a brochure, they invited me to live in their commune, and that is where they lost me.
Well, the thing is that you were very giving to them. They thought they could take more. That's kind of what happens with those people.
Well, they offered it. It's sort of like
But it's like, it was one step.
I'm gonna go to
Copy
hell.
This, live
I'm gonna
with
go
me.
to hell for making this comparison, but it's sort of like running into that one guy who sells weed on the side, and he's like, you connect with him, and he's like, yeah, you're pretty cool, man. By the way, you want some weed? Do you want some weed?
You want to move to the farm?
You want to move to the farm?
That's funny. You keep touching on stuff like that, and now we're gonna go into
Here's a little sample for you.
Andrew Shapiro. He's a good dude. I've known him forever.
I have met Andrew
But
Shapiro as well.
he actually moved to Tennessee with people he did not know to work on their farm for his rent. Randomly just left.
That's
And
how
I'm like,
I mean.
that's odd to me.
That's how a lot of movies start out. You know, you got the hardened farmer going out and working the ranch to make rent.
He literally made it sound like he had to go up the hill with a pail of water to fetch the water, and hopefully you don't go tumbling down.
So is he Jack or Jill in that scenario?
Oh, Jack, he's like 300 pounds.
Okay, as long as he's not 300-pound Jill, because that would be a little weird. Just picturing him skipping up the hill.
Oh my, with the dress going.
Skipping up the hill. Jack and Jill skip up the hill to fetch a pail of
Does he
booze.
skip up the hill? That is so hard to skip uphill.
So I myself have had my own little venture recently today, as a matter of fact. Not today, it was yesterday. I went and auditioned for an improv group, so that's going to be coming up pretty soon here. Your good old pal D-Max is going to be doing improv. Whose line is it anyway style coming up.
Intriguing.
I'm excited. I was looking to do more comedy stuff that isn't this. Oh, geez, excuse me. The heartburn's intense today.
Here we go.
Hashtag acid reflux.
He just had 6.5% beer. That's going.
I like to have a little beer with my dinner. What you gonna do? Anyways, as it is, I'm joining an improv group. We're gonna see where that goes, and who knows? We might see a couple of those people on the show. We might be doing a skit or two. We don't
Whose
know.
line is it anyway?
Whose line is it anyway? Is it your line? It's not my line. Anyway.
It's your way.
It's your way.
No, it's
don't
your
argue.
line.
No, it's your way. Don't argue with me.
Okay, fine. It's your way.
I'll punch you.
Okay, fine,
Punch you
your
right.
way.
Punch you right in the ego.
Okay, fine. It's your way.
Swear on me, mum. Swear on me, mum.
On me, mum. I go back to England on me, mum.
I swear on me, mum. Boy, don't screw with me.
Also, can I take a second to point out that, like, one of the last episodes you were talking about whether or not you knew an English person? Did you forget I existed for, like, that entire episode or something? Or, like...
It's one of those things where I forget your English until we actually go to one of the, like, English European stores and you start pointing out all of the different chocolate that you know and I don't, to be fair.
Because it's good.
It is good. It's actual chocolate. It's made from actual cocoa as opposed to Hershey's chocolate, which is more or less just like, might as well just be mold in a bar.
I'm gonna tell you, I dare to come between Tony and his English chocolate.
Cadbury.
You touch my crunchy bar, you die.
Get between me and my Krispies and you die.
And with that end, we're gonna go to some weird news. And you know
I
what?
can't wait to hear this stuff, dude.
Screw the anonymous beeping in the background. Let's get to some elevator music. Ka-chunk! Whoa.
Oh, wrong way. This way.
This way.
I pushed myself out of the frame.
Out of the elevator and into
The frame.
the absolute storm.
Oh my.
As we get into weird news.
Just like this. Right in your face.
So, first up on the wonderful weird news that we got going on, Delaware School is sorry for serving Roseanne Anthem rendition. That's right, the TV show Roseanne. You remember that show, right?
She was brolic.
She was frolic
That lady,
indeed.
boy, let me tell you something. I mean, she could. I was scared. She had like the men's shirt, plaid. I mean, she had guns. I messed with that lady. That was when I was a little kid.
It's almost like a lady I know.
But that was.
Almost like a lady I know.
But no.
Almost
she was so
like
big to me. I was
a lady I know.
Oh.
Seaford, Delaware. The Star Spangled Banner is an unusual feature of a high school pregame festivities, but Roseanne Barr's screeching 1990s rendition surprised all of the spectators at one Delaware volleyball game.
I'm telling you, she has when she steps in the room and does something, then people's like,
Have you ever heard Roseanne's Star Spangled Banner rendition? Because I haven't.
no.
No, I haven't. We might have to. Do you think we could get away with playing that, Tony, or do you think that would be copyright infringement?
I don't know where to find it. You really want me to be awake really late tonight.
Okay, fair. We'll let that go. We'll just assume that, it's Roseanne singing the Star Spangled Banner for all I know. The News Journal of Wellington reports that the Seaford School District apologized Wednesday for the shock served at a Seaford High School's Tuesday game against Milford High.
Oh, okay.
Milford.
That's actually just right down the road from where I was at, actually.
You were in Delaware?
Oh, no, actually, we have Milford, Mass. Actually, I was in Delaware, too, actually. My second person.
There's a letter from the superintendent. David Parrington says pre-game recordings will be improved despite future occurrences, and the lapse is being investigated. Officials didn't immediately explain how Barr's infamous version, performed by the San Diego Padres game, was set. But the letter says the district usually plays the national anthem before a sports game as a way to honor the U.S. and the armed forces, as it should be. God bless our military. God bless our military men. Salute.
You know how I feel about that. My grandfather's in the Marines, so, oh yeah. Actually, my father was telling me a story about that. It's just amazing how the Marines, I did not know, that they would go into a place and conquer it, and then they would stay there for a moment, and then they'd let somebody else take it over, and they'd go over and take something else over. I was like, wow, I didn't know that.
That is what I would equate to hunting for sport.
Yeah,
we took it over!
Actually,
we don't want it.
I think it actually was, and it's a shame, but it was...
We conquered! And now we don't want it. Let's go conquer something else.
Well, they'd
conquer.
So they'd conquer it, and then they'd have to wait till somebody come in and stay there. Then they'd run off and do another conquer. It's like, wow, that's
doing
just
all the
scary.
conquer all at
That's
once.
Scary. I mean,
Well, in the case of Delaware School versus Roseanne anthem rendition, I think it wasn't Roseanne that got taken down, was it? What was that?
Yeah.
There was a show that got taken down because it was too racy or something of the sort.
No,
that was
Roseanne
Roxanne.
got kicked off of her own show because she was being racy on Twitter.
Yes, that was it. And this was the same show, right?
Yeah. Well, technically speaking, it was the reboot because they rebooted her from the original 80s, 90s area, and then they made this new one with a bunch of other shit, and she was supposed to be like, modern day Trumpian, and she said that's how she was taking her character to Twitter, and it didn't play out too well.
She called it Valium tweeting, as a matter of fact, and she blamed Valium for all of the racist tweets.
That's right. Or,
you know what's wild?
Ambien.
That's what I would have said.
I'm not racist, I blame it on the Valium.
I had 17 Valiums and I just hated everyone.
17 Valiums make me
Come in
hate.
front of me and you're done.
It makes me hate minorities.
I was eating them like candy and I just lost my mind.
I just lost my mind. Suddenly I wanted to wear a ghost hat and join in
Suddenly
with
I
all
just
the...
wanted to attack everybody and hit them all.
I wanted to
equally.
see all of my friends in the big hoods and the white coats. Goodness me. Mind you...
Good morning.
Actually,
the sun is shining. I feel good. I'm gonna take this Vicodin, and I hate minorities now.
Can we give Roseanne the unintentionally racist badge right there?
You
Just
do
like
realize they would have
picture
had
her
her
face?
made
Yeah,
out
why
of
not?
a bed sheet for her, though. A bed sheet. Just to fit her.
Just to fit her.
For her hat and everything, a bed sheet. That's ridiculous. A king size. Maybe a super king.
Ariadne just
Intentionally
confirmed,
racist
actually, she
badge.
wants to switch that around. This is the intentionally racist badge. Intentionally.
Oh yeah, when she takes her Valiums, it all comes out.
It's okay. Every time, it's just a matter of the face, the gold medal, and the sound that goes. And that's it. Why don't you lead it away, Dahlia Jade? Tell me the headliner for this, real quick.
Woman claims adopted girl she abandoned was really an adult dwarf who wanted to kill her family.
Didn't they make a movie out of that at some point?
Yeah, from this lady's head.
Yeah. Well, no, there was a thing. What is it? There was a horror movie. I wish I could say exactly what. There was a horror movie at some point or another that they adopted a child. I forget what the movie was called, but they adopted a child, and then it turned out to be a middle-aged lady who looked like a child. I think we got the number. Shane, say it out loud for me. Orphan. That's the name. That's the name of the horror movie. Orphan. This is literally straight out of the plot of Orphan. The lady is a middle-aged lady that's just been hopping around, and well, let's read the article to figure out what, because she claims that she adopted an adult dwarf that wanted to kill her family. Right off of telegraph.co.uk, U.S. woman accused of abandoning her daughter has claimed the girl that she adopted in 2010 was in fact an adult suffering from dwarfism.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
That's discriminatory.
But it is, dwarfism is actually...
You're suffering from being a midget.
You're suffering from being short. How is that acceptable to say? It's like me looking at any of my short friends and going, this is something that you're just gonna have to deal with for the rest of your life. Suffer.
Well, I would have said it would have been more like a gift, because every time it was something high, you didn't have to get it, you just have somebody always help you. I would have no problem with it. Because when I go out in places, they're worried, hey, can you get it on the top shelf?
Can you get there on the top shelf?
I'm like, yes, ma'am, no worries. Okay,
well, you see, there's suffering and then there's living with. Let me clarify. As somebody who deals in human resources a lot, I have not dealt with the dwarf community in the past, but it's just, I feel for these people when I say suffering from, it's not quite how I would see it be. Having to live with, on the other hand, yes, people who suffer from dwarfism, I feel like suffer from dwarfism. I just contradicted myself. Oh no!
He just did exactly what I call it.
People who are born with dwarfism are still capable people with minds and hearts and feelings that can accomplish everything everybody else can. That's my point. But is this true or not with this story? We do not know exactly. We're getting messages from Ariadne. It's a technical diagnosis, like how MR is still used in medical settings. Living with would be much better. Thanks for the moral check. Appreciate it. Got a thumbs up in the background.
Thanks me God. I love you.
Weren't we just talking about moral check and now you're calling them leprechauns?
No, I was actually going to send that guy to go get them people for doing that to her.
Okay, that's fair.
Thanks me God.
Christine Barnett and ex-husband Michael Barnett were charged with the neglect after leaving Ukraine-born Natalie Grace in an apartment shortly before the family moved to Canada in 2013. The family paid Natalie's rent after they left the United States, but otherwise broke off the contract, Michael Barnett reportedly told the police. Natalie is 3 feet tall and has trouble walking. In a defiance echoing the 2009 horror film The Orphan, this is on the article, ladies and gentlemen, called that, Mrs. Barnett, 45 years old, says Natalie, 22 years old, when they left her behind, not mine, as court documents claim. According to the letter from the family doctor, which Miss Barnett provided to local TV station, Natalie's date of birth at the time of adoption was clearly inaccurate. So, was it true? Is the doctor lying? That's where my questions are kind of landing up here. The letter, which Indiana University Health have not confirmed as genuine, states that she had adult teeth and had began menstruating. But if you look at these people,
I just can't deal with it. I'm listening to what you're saying though over here.
They look like crackheads though. I'm sorry.
If you can't tell that these people here look like they've got something seriously wrong with them, I mean, he clearly looks like her pimp. Look at her lips. I mean, she was ready to go.
Oh my.
So I mean, I think this was more correct to say they were on Valiums.
Valium makes.
They were clearly lacking family value.
Ladies and gentlemen,
they were on
public
Valium.
Service announcement. Please don't take Valium, for it turns you into the scum of all of humanity.
But I mean,
absolutely no diss to anybody who takes Valium and it works for them. Good for you. Way to seek help. Good for you. The Barnetts had the girl's age legally changed from 8 to 20. What the hell? They had the girl's age legally changed from 8 to 22 in 2012, making her legal birth date September 4th, 1989. Mrs. Barnett has told Daily Mail TV that she had attempted to harm other members of the family while she was under her care. Can you change someone's birth date?
I don't quite know.
That sounds weird. That sounds whack. She quotes, "She was hiding knives under our couches. She was talking about how she was going to kill our family members. She put chemicals in the coffee." Miss Barnett said when she put crack in the coffee. Goodness. She was jumping out of moving cars. She was smearing blood on the mirrors. She was doing things you could never imagine a little child doing. I'm gonna call a friend. I'm gonna do a friend call on this, or like weakest link. Shane, have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen Orphan?
Yeah.
Is that what happens in Orphan?
Or something?
I quote, smearing blood on the mirrors, jumping out of moving cars.
No, I never saw anything like that. They were usually in the house.
They were usually in the house.
And dark stuff at night, storm.
Okay, so this isn't completely out of the book, but Natalie was in and out of mental health facilities apparently, but was left in an apartment in Lafayette, Indiana in 2013 when the Barnetts moved to Canada to support their son Jacob in further education. The family had already known to the world through Jacob, a child prodigy who was subject of the 2012 episode of CBS in 60 Minutes. At the age of 12, Jacob was taking university math classes and is currently pursuing a PhD in quantum gravity and Parameter Institute for Theoretical Physics. This sounds more to me like somebody giving up on their adopted child in favor of the more successful sibling. That kind of messes me up.
These people have this story so made up. She would stand over people in their sleep. She would be standing there in the middle of the room and saying, "I'm waiting for the right time.
I'm waiting for the right time.
I'm waiting for the right time.
I'm waiting for the right time."
I would be so scared of that.
Start
really
slurring more and more. I'm waiting for the right time. Sounds like you got like bronchitis and ain't nobody got time for that. It's not clear what happened to Natalie since she was left in Lafayette, although court documents obtained by local media suggest that she was evicted from the apartment in 2014. Mr. Barnett is due to appear in court later this month, so we'll find out what happens
They
later.
said
This
the
might be
little
one of
girl
the
was
stories we
evicted
track.
from the apartment?
Yeah, apparently
The little
she was
girl.
evicted from the apartment. Well, they changed her legal age to 22. This lady sounds like she was screwed. Just straight screwed on everything.
Well, it's kind of weird.
We got to do a little bit of research.
Yeah, because I was noticing. Oh, okay.
Intense
So-
music.
It's kind of weird. It says, because I'm looking back, it says family moved to Canada in 2013. But then they were talking about how, so when
It's confusing Dahlia Jade, and we have to solve this
it is,
now.
because how long did that little girl stay in the house by herself? That's what I was trying to look back at.
Well, say she was. So that's 2 years,
right? Now think about this. Who was paying? They were sending the money to this one. Isn't that a good reason why I had to double back? 2 years she stayed in her house by herself.
That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
How did she survive if she was only 9 years old?
I have no freaking idea.
So I had a good legit reason why I was just
To be
baffled
continued
by
next time on the Too Damn Early Show.
waiting for the right time. But I look at this little girl and the stuff that they say, I just don't see what they were saying about her. She was making cookies like a good little girl.
This can be
You know what
deceiving,
they
Dahlia.
were? You know what they were? Those little puppets just spit.
They were meth cookies.
Get them at the right time. Sorry.
Next on the weird news, Amazon to offer Samuel L. Jackson voice for Alexa. He'll curse if you want. Yes!
No.
Yes! Exactly what the populace needed, a Samuel L. Jackson Alexa.
You're killing me. Oh my god.
I can't even get behind it. Oscar-nominated actor Samuel L. Jackson is lending his iconic voice to Amazon's Alexa, profanities and all, during the Amazon's event to unveil new products and services Wednesday. Celebrity voice actor, the first celebrity voice actor for Alexa's virtual assistant was created using neural text-to-speech technology. Say that 5 times real fast.
Nurse me Ollie.
Yeah, I think that if you didn't get it the first time, you're not gonna get it the second time.
Exactly what she said. I was gonna say something like, I would love to hear it say what again?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you! I dare you, motherfucker! Say what again? Please, please
see,
bleep
the
me.
thing is, this is actually Samuel L. Jackson is my dude because he says the most craziest stuff in every movie I've watched almost every movie he's done, and he is just too extreme for me.
But to be fair, there is going to be both an explicit version and a clean version when the feature launches later this year. The Alexa skill will cost about 99 cents as an introductory offer.
mother trucker!
After
dare you!
After an introductory period, the price will be $4.99 according to the product page. Dude, I'd pay $5 to have Samuel L. Jackson cuss at me through my Alexa. I don't care.
I still think even if you did the...
That's good marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Why not?
While Jackson is the first official celebrity to voice for Alexa in the 2018 Super Bowl commercial, celebrities Gordon Ramsay, Rebel Wilson, Cardi B, and Anthony Hopkins were called in to fill with when Alexa lost her voice. The commercial won USA Today's 30th ad meter. You know, honestly, I would pay in many ways for an Anthony Hopkins.
Sorry.
Get it out.
I've been
It's
doing
where
it for
my
3 days.
demons hide. It's where my demons hide.
I got a basket for him right here.
Ugh. But yeah, like Anthony Hopkins. Dahlia, Anthony Hopkins. Like
Anthony Snotkins.
But like Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter for
I want you kibbies.
for an
even
Alexa
talk.
for an Alexa voice.
Definitely.
I want my fava beans tonight. You better have my Chianti with it.
Hello, Clarice. Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you.
He does that all the time. As soon as he's talking and after everything. I'd be like, excuse me, buddy, go easy over there.
I mean, it was intimidating when I first actually saw the movie Silence of the Lambs. It was intimidating when I first saw
But the
that.
lambs
like-
weren't too silent in that movie. That's what's wild. I can't do it. I keep laughing about it. It is funny.
Other new Amazon products. Amazon unveils the first ever pair of smart glasses, the Echo frames. They echo everywhere you go.
I'd be so scared.
Want to work at
You can talk
McDonald's?
to the
Ask
frames.
Alexa or Google Assistant for help. I'm reading like the butt end of this article. Amazon also used star power in its 2019 Super Bowl commercial, which featured Harrison Ford, Forrest Whitaker, and astronaut twins Mark and Scott Kelly. Amazon says Jackson will tell jokes, sing happy birthday, announce the weather, set timers and alarms, play music, and more. You can also learn more about him by asking about his interests and career, Amazon says. However, he won't be able to do everything Alexa can and can't help with shopping lists, reminders, or skills.
I gotta say one thing. What would he say on your birthday? Happy birthday, mother.
Pretty much. I mean, that's all I can see. And like, I can see you asking for like reminders. It's like, if Samuel L. Jackson set me a reminder to take the cookies out of the other, take the cookies out yourself, motherfucker!
You go too crazy.
Do I look like a bitch? Do I look like I'm gonna help you get your cookies out?
I hope your cookies burn.
After purchasing this feature, you can choose whether you like Jackson to use explicit language or not. So you get like Capital One credit card Samuel L. Jackson, or you get like any other movie Samuel L. Jackson. You know what I mean? If you change your mind later, simply go to the settings menu for the Alexa app to toggle between the clean and explicit material the product page says. This is something we might have to get on Alexa. I personally, I would do it for the lulz. I'd admit that. I'd get Samuel L. Jackson for $5.99, even though I'm giving to the overlords of Amazon who are eventually going to take over the fiscal market at some point because they're secretly plotting for world domination through Alexa. Yes, all of the robots.
They are, I think, let me tell you something. I hope I don't get in trouble because I would want to beat up robots, okay? I am the epitome of
All right, Will Smith
Smith's.
from-
No, I am. Trust me, you don't believe me. If that thing comes near me, I'm going to kick it right over.
How do you feel when, like, in Stop and Shop, they have those things with the googly eyes now that's right
I
around
don't
you?
even understand when I look at the thing and I see it sitting there.
What?
Get away from me.
You don't know that?
They
Tony,
spot
yeah,
clean.
they have cleaning robots with little googly eyes on the top.
Telling you, I'll give it a sidekick so fast, but it's not going to go right over.
It comes at you looking like a character from Banjo-Kazooie, I
But
swear.
how do you know
Oh,
he's the one
God.
to scoop you up and clean you up?
Do you know why they put the eyeballs on it? If you watch the news, why they put eyeballs on
To make it more
grocery
friendly?
store-
I don't know.
Yeah, so people feel like it notices them and it's not going to run them over, and so it doesn't feel like it's a machine that's
The
going to
eyes are
eat them.
fake! How would they register that? Anybody can look and be like, look, they pasted googly eyes on a robot! It can't see me through those!
Yeah, well, you'll see one day when it hip checks you.
I wanna quote this really quick, and please,
Actually, I think they put the eyes on him so they do beat the shit out of him.
I quote
punch you
I quote
your eyes,
Ariadne on the Facebook chat. Creepy f***ing robots overthrow the Obliarchs. Oh no. I said overthrow the Olive Guards. An anarchy symbol followed by their f***ing terrifying. I hate it. You personify it so people don't beat the shit out of them. People are dumb. I quote in text.
I'll tell you, I will punch it. You think I won't? Right?
There's the proof right there. The proof right there. Oh, and she's typing more. What is she typing? What are we gonna find out this time, Dahlia? I don't know.
You know I'm all about the anarchist all day.
I know. I know you would beat the ever-living piss out of them. I'm allowed to be sweary on the chat, she says. I hope you bleep me out.
That's why I'm saying things like mother so you can actually get what I'm saying and it's cool.
Bleep that out,
bleeping
too.
you.
Bleep it all out. Bleep it out. Bleep it out.
Bleep me out.
Oh, no. Father Mucker. Ariadne, 2019. Father Mucker.
You know him. He's Father
Yep,
Mucker.
bleeping that. Even more offensive.
Oh, great. F-O-T-H-E-R-M-U-C-K-E-R. You can't bleep all of those out.
Is that Father Muckerer?
Father Muckerer. Yeah. You've never heard of Father Muckerer?
Oh yes, he loves the mud.
Yeah, he's. I've never heard of Father Jesus guys though. We're at this point. We're just having fun. We're just having a little fun. Better go call Father Muckerer to bless the whole thing.
Better call Jesus to bless
Father
it.
Muckerer, please bless this nasty chat that we keep throwing at each other. Oh, middle fingers in the chat. How sweet. How'd you know? Anyways. I need to go take a pee break.
That was equivalent to 5 fingers up.
All 5. What are you, Vishnu now? And now I'm gonna speak in the background. I gotta go and pee.
And now we're going to go into the news. As I introduce Ariadne, I want to say it right because my accent is just too much. So, Ariadne, and we're going to get into talking about Charlie Baker and the ban on vaping.
I like this headline. The vaping ban sowed chaos in Massachusetts, but Charlie Baker regrets nothing.
He sewed it with a needle and thread.
Yeah. Just sowing chaos.
Yes.
I'm sure he looked just like that.
You seen him?
Yeah, watched it happen. It was great.
Oh, that guy. Charlie, go easy.
Down.
Go easy,
Put
Charlie.
the needle down.
It's only vaping. It's only vaping. But people are dying.
You're gonna be
I think there's like 6 or 7 people who've died from using vape juice from people who haven't really been authorized to sell it. So
Right.
this isn't necessarily even really a legal problem.
Right. It's just people getting on the pretty much black market.
Sure. Well, and I wonder how much of that actually is stuff that's tied to like marijuana, because there is a lot of like vaping stuff with pot in it.
Definitely, yeah. And they don't release that stuff though. They just say vaping in general.
Right.
You know, so you can't except
I
to
mean-
say that cigarettes and marijuana vaping is the same thing.
Yeah, I do wonder how much of this actually is due to,
Additives, right?
right, you know,
Definitely.
I mean, it probably isn't good to be smoking anything, but
No.
vaping is
Actually-
kind of a misnomer. But Tony
Right.
just sent us through something that says lab test finds toxic chemicals in black market THC cartridge. Awesome. Cool.
Yes,
I've only
that
smoked a number
is-
of those.
Yeah.
That's really
That
awesome
Nice.
to learn.
Nice.
yeah, that is the source.
What a
Okay,
of
so
our
this doesn't
vaping
even have anything to do with
problems.
what's being sold in
No.
stores, yet we're banning it entirely
Exactly.
in the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
Yes.
I thought bans don't work.
Well, I don't want to keep buying them on the black market.
But the thing is, like, if people are going to get a hold of things, they're going to get a hold of things anyway.
Well, you know what's intriguing about this is that the government's actually going to lose too, because they have the vaping pens right in the dispensaries. You can get them right there. So, I mean,
Well, and those are actually
But
fairly
that's not
well
the same
regulated.
thing.
It's not the same thing
no,
they're
it
talking
isn't.
about.
It isn't. That's exactly my point. Is that now they're going to ban those that are more regulated compared to the ones that are on the black market.
Well, how do you regulate
You
something
can't-
on the black
You
market?
can't. But the shame is that people are going to want to go get it still because they're going to be addicted to it.
So we're not even really fixing the problem with this one, are we?
No. We're just kind of, stating the power that we have, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're not going to fix the problem again.
Yeah, as D-Max is chiming in on the chat here, he says, prohibition didn't work. He actually
not.
said, didn't work, but
It
didn't work.
Didn't work.
It didn't work. And I do wonder how we're able to so quickly mobilize on this, because, there's elementary school children who've been killed with guns, but
Yeah.
we can't do anything about that because bans don't work.
They do not. They don't work at all. I mean, we're people. We're
So,
gonna get it our way.
I think I really need like politicians in charge to explain this one to me, because I'm just having a hard time wrapping my brain around this, because
Right.
bans don't work.
No, they do not. Trying to think about a way, almost anything. Because I mean, you're sitting there saying, I just seen a thing about their marijuana thing, and they're talking all aggravated about how they're losing money in the dispensaries. Well, yeah, look how expensive you are. You want people to go to the black market. This is the way I see it. If your price is so high, then people are going to go to the black market. If your prices are reasonable, they're going to get the real thing. You're pretty much pushing them to the black market, regardless of how you look at it. All these taxes they're imposing, you don't even need to be there. You know, give them to the people. Stop trying to make all the money.
But we can't do that. And,
that's the way I
we
see
really
it.
encountered this in the state of Minnesota, where they've had trouble legalizing marijuana.
Yeah.
And it's because we've had governors who are quite corporatist in nature,
Yeah.
and they haven't been able to figure out a way to make this happen where it benefits the corporations in charge.
Right.
So, we're really squeezing out small-time dealers because
Yep.
they're not as easily regulated.
Right.
So,
But I definitely think if they would think back about all the money they're trying to make versus trying to do something good for the people that was supposedly supposed to help them with their pain. I'm big into this. And then everything's so high, then I just can't get over it. You're banning things based on death, but it's mainly from the black market stuff.
But even so, though, if you look at this like ban on things, it's really interesting because these are things that people do that don't necessarily affect people around them. Like vaping is not quite the same thing as secondhand smoke.
No.
I wouldn't want to breathe it in. Like, I get that, but the thing is, it's not going to be as carcinogenic as being in a restaurant in a confined area with people
Definitely.
smoking around
I
you
agree.
for 30 years.
Right.
So, we've had 6 or 7 people die, and we're having a total ban when it's something that really only affects the person doing it.
Supposing they're reassessing it. This is what I hear. It's like, okay, you spent how much money to assess it at first? Now you're gonna reassess it? Obviously, I don't think they assessed it too much. They just whipped it right out there.
Well, and I wonder, who kind of greased the wheels with that one.
Yeah.
Follow the money, right?
Yep.
Look at who's profiting from this, and maybe see if they have anything to do with like the total ban on vaping. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really hypocritical to ban something when we can't ban something that actually like hurts other people so much, like guns.
Awful.
Oh, D-Max just chimed in and says, always look for the rich white man, and I'm guessing this is probably true in this case as well.
I bet you even the rich white man's getting his stuff off the black market.
Well, at this point, yeah.
So it's like...
Anyway, these are not necessarily the same things you're finding at like the dispensary in Wareham.
Right, and it's such a heartfelt thing for me because I keep thinking about it. So what I keep trying to think about is they keep trying to claim that it's the vaping that's killing people, but then they're saying that it's the stuff that's in it. Is it the stuff that's in it, or is it the vaping? Like
It's the stuff they're adding
it's the stuff
to
that's
it.
added to it. Tony sent us that article over, and it says something about how they have fungicides in them, which I can't pronounce. I'm not going to butcher that one, but it can become hydrogen cyanide when it's burned.
What a shame.
So,
I seen something last night. That's why.
but these are all from unlicensed vendors. So if you're
Right.
getting your stuff
It's
from
so totally different.
from like the dispensaries,
Yeah.
they've tested negative for this.
Right.
So this whole ban, really, I think we need to take a page out of My Chemical Romance's book, their last album, second song on it, where we're standing in V formation, and we should all go stand on Charlie Baker's lawn in V formation and vape. We do have to wear the
They
marching
call
band
that
jackets,
vape formation. Vape
though.
formation.
Yes, vape formation.
Yeah, I'm just so conflicted over it because I was watching a show last night, and that's why I'm so conflicted, because this is what they're actually saying on the news. They were talking about that water thing in the lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm hearing them saying it's the chemicals, so is it the chemicals or the water in the lungs? That's why I'm conflicted.
Well, and I mean, it's
'Cause I'm
probably
hearing
not good to
this.
have water in your lungs either, because
Right.
that can, I mean, if you have continual
doesn't
water
that
in your
sound
lungs,
more
it's not good
legit?
for
But
you.
doesn't that sound more legit?
It does,
though?
but the
Sounds
science
like
isn't.
they're backpedaling.
The science isn't necessarily backing that up. As
Right.
Tony sent us that link that said there's, potentially hydrogen cyanide being
Right.
released by some of the pesticides that are put in it.
Yep.
That's a little different. But
Yeah.
I wonder if this will actually be effective, and if it will curb deaths in the state of Massachusetts as far as vaping is concerned. And I wonder if maybe we can look at this, if it's successful as a model to fixing some other stuff. Then again, we definitely have a large segment of the population who keep shouting that bans don't work.
No. they do not.
So, oh my gosh, somebody already made a Facebook group about this. There's an an event that's been created called Blow a Vape Cloud on Charlie Baker's lawn. And that actually happened yesterday, and I hope it happened. I mean, there was 1,000 people who allegedly went.
Got canceled.
It got canceled. What?
If you look at the bit that I sent, it says the event got canceled.
Oh, well, that's not okay. That sounds like it could have been a really effective, peaceful protest.
Well, they should reschedule it. It was just foggy that night.
Maybe.
It wouldn't have worked.
The weather conditions.
It was just too
Yeah.
foggy. There was too much
Maybe
fog.
they ran out of vape juice.
Well, they might have run out of vape juice.
Well, they couldn't
I think
get no
that's
more.
a distinct
They weren't allowed to get no more.
possibility.
They didn't want to get it off the black market.
Well, and I mean, that article wasn't exactly like first and foremost when I looked up this stuff, so maybe not everyone knows that it's black market stuff. D-Max just chimed in with, it's an Area 51-esque buzzkill,
Well, why
where
wouldn't
the
they?
government said, no, you really shouldn't be doing that, and then we all complied.
Yeah, they'll slap our hands and say, no, I'm sorry. It's not exactly how we seen it.
Yeah.
Nah, you guys are already addicted. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go get some gum. Chew it. Chew it off. Because I was just...
Well, see, if we're being honest, I cross state lines to evade taxes.
Yep. It's all
on
about the
tobacco.
taxes. It is. Think
And
about it.
if these products are not, able to be sold in Massachusetts, there's still Connecticut.
Well,
there's still
Massachusetts is a really
Hampshire.
small state.
Yeah.
It's not like it's that hard to get into another state from here.
You know how many people I
No.
know go to New Hampshire to buy their cigarettes because they're so much more cheaper per carton?
Well, even
Still.
alcohol is less expensive in New Hampshire. They just
Yeah.
have less taxes
Yeah.
overall.
It's all about the taxes. That's why I also was conflicted with, if you lowered the taxes on the stuff in all the dispensaries, people would be able to afford them and they wouldn't have to go to the black market. It's like,
Yeah, and D-Max is making a really good point here on the chat. He says there's so many more things that should be regulated, like cigarettes.
I would say so.
I mean, cigarettes are already highly regulated, but given how many millions of people have died
Yeah.
from cigarette-related illnesses
And they still go.
Right, they're still available. It's not like we banned cigarettes because lung cancer became a thing.
Right. Exactly. It never happened. And this because there's so many millions of dollars being made off of that.
Right.
Even the government's making the money.
Well, and that's where you really have to look at
Yeah.
and follow the money, because I don't think we'll ever be able to initiate a ban on cigarettes in the
No.
same way we've done it with vaping,
No
at
way.
least not on a large scale.
Alcohol.
Alcohol is also killing people. Yes, that's a good point, D-Max. It's a multi-million-dollar industry, and there's been interesting links lately between alcoholism and cancer.
But I do
So-
actually have to try one time before I die. Slurricane, also known as hurricane. Definitely.
You've mentioned this. Did you order any yet?
No, I'm actually got to figure out how I can get it from Chrissy,
Okay.
your dad's sister, because no liquor store in the state of California will ship it to Massachusetts.
Okay. Well,
I've already tried.
good luck with that.
So I'm gonna break the law my way.
You may have to go get some. You may have to just go get it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
just to try it, just be amazed. It's been out since like early 2000s. And I've never even heard of it until this year. So it's like, wow.
Yeah. I wonder if we could also ban alcohol. Oh wait. Bans don't work.
No, they don't work.
I think we proved this for about 10 years. I think it was 1919 to about 19. No, it was after the Prohibition was in the 30s, wasn't it?
It was
Yeah.
in the 30s.
So it was,
Yeah.
after the markets all crashed, we banned booze.
Exactly.
And it didn't work because people still were able to
Smuggle.
access it,
Yeah, easily.
brew it.
Only band that works is hair bands.
Distill
they can hold
it.
the hairs back. That's it. Hair bands.
Why don't we address the reasons why people might feel the need to vape nicotine or
Exactly.
vape weed? Like, if we're
Well,
really
that's the
looking
whole
at
point.
solving problems, I think we really need to get to the root of it. And
Yep.
why are people turning to chemical dependency? Is it maybe that our lives under our corporate overlords are so miserable that none of us can stand to be sober?
What's funny, I have an old saying.
Yes.
I have an old saying that I tell everybody that's stressed out and they don't know why. I say, you do realize it's the weight of the world bearing down on you, making you feel that way. Well, it is that way because despite us knowing what's going on in the world, we put our minds everywhere else other than thinking about what's going on in the world. So it's all of it. You need to stop making your people feel comfortable and actually working on their problems instead of sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to divert you from one thing to the next so you don't have to think about it. But all these diversions are killing people.
Well, what the issue is we've really forgotten the fundamental lessons from Rome, which is bread and circuses. And there's plenty of circuses. I mean, there's football in our living room out here right now.
Exactly.
Plenty of circuses. The entertainment industries are booming.
Yeah.
But the people in charge have really forgotten how they need to stay in charge if that's what they want.
Yeah.
And what they need to do is give us more bread.
Exactly.
So, people are having a hard time making ends meet. It's hard to find a place to live that one person can afford on a job. Like, people are hustling to make ends meet, and maybe this is why so many people are turning to chemical dependencies.
Exactly.
And
just so they can deal and cope. It's all about even just coping. It's like, I mean, I know for me, I do dabble around with the marijuana, but I really do work hard to try to quit because, I mean, I'm so stressful all the time with all I have going on, but I know that I would be better off, that I could do probably 10 times more, But now, it's funny. Now, my dad, he can go out and he can do some jobs. You'd be like, wow. But I sometimes feel dragged down by it, not always, but sometimes. I feel like if I could just have that one more thing off, I'd be better. Hey, maybe all these bannings will help me, but bans don't work.
people always find a way to get things, don't they?
They do.
Especially AR-15s.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're everywhere. You can just pick them up on the corner.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna regulate things, let's start there, maybe.
Exactly.
Things that don't just kill the person using them.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that, alcoholics aren't abusive, but, it's a little different than somebody shooting other people.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to have probably some pushback and people saying, well, what about knives and things like that? And it's just like, well, you can't kill as many people with knives in the same amount of time as a semi-automatic weapon.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been a situation because everybody's feeling it, so that we had to go on about it because everybody's hurting. You just can't just give somebody something and take it away. It's just one of them things. And I really think that it's a shame I'm going to tell you this. We're going to have a lot more deaths because if you're banning something, you are forcing people to go to the black market. That's all I'm going to tell you right there.
Well, and from another perspective, I also don't think that most things should be banned.
Right.
It's not up to the government to decide what's good and healthy for us.
Right.
That's really taking away some of our fundamental freedoms here.
But it really does go back to the same thing we keep going back to. It's all about them gaining money, but they don't want to see people dying over it. Supposedly, I just think that it might be costing them a lot more money to manufacture this stuff that they have, and they don't want to do it anymore. So I don't think it's more about the people dying, because there are a lot more people dying.
Well, maybe this is something that we should check up on later.
There's definitely more going on.
Maybe more information will become known, and we can further update this one in the future.
Yep. Cool. So.
Oh God!
And the camera just gave up.
I can't. That's just too much. I didn't do that.
Oh, how did I get back in here?
You're in the wrong seat.
I know.
This is weird.
What did you do?
I've never been on this side before.
I've never been on this side before.
All right.
What kind of clap did you throw?
Just did what you asked.
Well, whatever it was, it switched me with Dahlia Jade, and I feel a little funny.
Well, we could have switched seats before this started.
Could have, but you're ruining the magic of it's theater magic.
Theater magic.
Theater magic. So, in lieu of an old event that we had always known as, ladies and gentlemen, Trump Day, we're going to talk about our president, God King Trump, possibly for the last time, because we are about to talk about imprisoning, possibly imprisoning,
soon enough,
impeaching our president, God King Trump, for everything that he has been doing. But specifically, we have a couple of bullet points that we're going to bring up onto why this impeachment has finally come up, as Ariadne has the details, because I know you follow this religiously with an iron fist.
I do, every day.
So first off, the talks of impeachment have been coming up.
Yes, I can briefly explain why.
Please do.
As it turns out, we've had a whistleblower come forward from the White House Yeah, who somehow has managed to not be killed by now, which is pretty unusual, or threatened, or ejected from the country. I mean, they haven't ended up in Moscow like Edward Snowden.
Moscow.
Or prison like Chelsea Manning. So we have a whistleblower who is yet to be named, who has come forward saying that President Trump, much like the mob boss he thinks he is, has been trying to leverage his power with other countries, such as the Ukraine, to get dirt on his political opponents, which is against the law.
Please, he's about as much of a mob boss as I am Dick Cheney in the woods.
You know, you say that, but
shooting people.
But I'm pretty convinced that dealing with real estate in New York, he probably has at the very least come in contact with nefarious mob organizations.
Oh, most definitely. Would I call him a mob boss? No. As far as we know. Actually, yeah, he kind of has. They do call him the Don, after all.
Well, and that might not be, you know, a mistake.
I'm eating my own words like a McDonald's cheeseburger.
Anyway, all of this is hearsay, and we can't actually back any of that up, but...
No, not at all.
But it has emerged that he did try to leverage Ukraine into getting him information specifically about Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, who had been on a power company board in the Ukraine.
Hunter Biden.
Mm-hmm.
There's a joke somewhere in there, but I can't just seem to grasp it.
I got nothing for you.
I'm stuck on the Dick Cheney shooting people in the woods thing.
Okay, but Hunter Biden himself has never been vice president, and I assume he also has not shot a friend in the woods.
I hope not. It's not a very good omen if your vice president shoots people in the woods. I'm just saying.
Well, he wasn't vice president at the time.
But still, he still shot a man in the woods. What is this? What is this? Rambo? Was he watching too many Rambo
movies? It was
movies?
Probably an accident.
It was probably Rambo. Probably a Rambo-esque.
Anyway, did you know Dick Cheney is actually still alive? Amazingly enough. He's like a million.
What a Dick Cheney.
I mean, and you could say that.
Twice, thrice, definitely thrice. Richard Dean Peters the thrice.
Yeah.
But we're getting off topic here. So anyways, talking more about getting back to Donald Trump and his possible impeachment, you had listed off a couple of reasons why that would be a thing. And
well, this
one
is
of them
specifically...
being, of course, the specific one being trying to scrape up dirt on Hunter Biden.
Yeah, it's really not okay to ask another country to give you dirt on a political opponent. Like, there actually are laws on the books about this one. No, it's not uncouth, it's unlawful.
Unlawful. I'm being a little gentle.
And you know, our dear illustrious leader does insist that there was no tit for tat, there was no quid pro quo, but...
no tat for tit.
You know, I really wonder, like... When these things are set up, like, a lot of things are able to be left unsaid because
that is true.
People, like, who are not the illustrious dear leader or the president of the Ukraine have been talking, because this phone call didn't just happen randomly.
Oh,
you know that the Ukrainian president's people were definitely talked to by our illustrious dear leader's people. They probably set this all up in private before that phone call even happened.
You don't just randomly pick up the Oval Office phone and be like, oh, Ukraine, oh goodness, I didn't realize you would have called. Oh, how are the kids? Does not happen.
Accent's all wrong, but I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying. I'm not going to try.
You're not going to do your Donald Trump.
Oh, Ukraine, I didn't know you were going to call. It's the elongated lips.
It's painful anytime anyone does it.
I did not know you were going to call.
I do have to say, Stephen Colbert has it spot on, but it's...
Arguably,
it's
Alec
hard
Baldwin
to listen to.
Also has it pretty good.
Well, yeah, he impersonates him on SNL.
Yes.
So, you know, I'd hope that his impression is well rehearsed and spot on.
Yes, indeed. So we have that, but what, you know, I'm just, for the record, let's talk a little bit about the allegations that had led up to this point. The couple of things that haven't been necessarily confirmed, but are suspected of our President God King Trump.
Well, the thing is, this is actually all the Democrats are really going on right now. They've decided to not pursue charges with regards to anything else. They really want to focus on this Ukrainian phone call because I assume they think it would be the easiest thing to prove.
It's the most factual thing that they have to go on to back what their agenda is, which is to, you know, push forward on the impeachment. I'm not saying agenda in a negative connotation. There's something to be done here with somebody who has been wrecking the government.
If crimes are being committed, then that needs to be addressed. Because if we're going to pretend that we have any sort of rule of law, that means that the president isn't above any of this.
Absolutely not. That is why we have the three branches of government. That is why we have Congress. That is why we have my laggy brain. That
The
hasn't
judicial
been,
system.
The judicial
Yeah,
branch,
yeah,
and then
we
the
have-
presidential branch, which
Yeah.
has to go through a series of systems in order to even approve a bill. There's a reason why America is set up like this, but unfortunately it hasn't been working because of a dual-party system, amongst
Well,
other
I can't say I disagree with that. But back at the point at hand, now that we've started to proceed, the Democrats have started to proceed. I am not actually a Democrat. But they've started to proceed with an impeachment inquiry. It's been official. It's been announced. Nancy Pelosi's been talking about it. And if any of you watch the news, I'm sure you've seen her, the corporate shill that she is.
Yes, indeed. We got
talking a lot
corporate
about
shills
this.
on both sides of the...
Next, they're going to probably come across... BuzzFeed, actually, of all people, had a really handy flowchart that I'm going to be referencing.
BuzzFeed, of all things.
Their flowchart's not incorrect, and it is actually quite easy to read. So that's probably what we're going to go with here.
Ironically enough, thank you, BuzzFeed, for providing proper political diagrams, I guess.
Sometimes they do a good job.
Other times
Other times they're really far up the Kardashians' asses, but sometimes they do a really good job.
Yep, given the colonoscopy to the celebs of the world, BuzzFeed is the scope that is inserted right there. Whoop.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yep. Take that
Anyway,
image
so
home,
now
kids.
House committees, including the Intelligence Oversight, Financial Services, Foreign Affairs, Ways and Means, and the Judiciary are submitting evidence of impeachable offenses to the Judiciary Committee. That's hard to say. And the flowchart goes down to say if there's not enough evidence, nothing changes.
Yeah, that tends to be how that goes.
And that could be the case. But if there is sufficient evidence, we're going to start with sending articles of impeachment to the full House. So there will be a vote on the articles of impeachment. And that's what will happen next, if we get there.
It's all in due process. It takes time for these things to happen, and unfortunately, it doesn't just, boom, happen. Like a lot of people have been hoping that have been more of what I would call the shotgun politics of briefly gazing over headlines on BuzzFeed or whatever social media. I need to address this really quick because this pisses me off. The people who go forward and look on Facebook and just read the simple title on top of a news article and immediately deem it as fact.
Well, the thing is, you have to look at Facebook because they definitely have quite a bit of propaganda on there. Not everything
Absolutely.
you see on Facebook is true.
No.
Not everything your conservative uncle screaming on Facebook shares is actually true. And that's not to say that it isn't true of the left as well. I'm not picking on your conservative uncle. I'm actually quite picking on the established media because they have not really done a very good job
Conservative
throughout this.
Uncle Frank and then liberal Aunt Cheryl, we'll say.
Whatever.
Can we personify these two people?
I don't know if Cheryl's quite the right name for your hippie aunt, but
your hippie aunt. What would that? Was it Celeste?
Willow Moonbeam.
your liberal Aunt Moonbeam. And your conservative Uncle Frank.
Anyway, but not everything you're going to get across social media is going to be factual or necessarily backed up with articles from the AP, who, don't get me wrong, there is still bias in our media. That is a problem. And I think that they definitely are participating in a pay-to-play system with the political elites who, if you aren't willing to say what they want you to say, won't give you access. We forget that this is a problem.
And not to disprove your point at all, but as somebody who is involved in the field of journalism, I do want to clarify when writing any sort of article or conducting any sort of interview, it is completely impossible to avoid any sort of bias. There's never a 100% unbiased source. But that being said, there is backing your theories and your points that you put towards on the interview or article that you're writing with factual details, as opposed to stuff that is fueled emotionally. The difference is logic or emotion.
I'm not even talking about logic versus emotion here. I'm talking about what the narrative is coming out of the government that may not always be factual.
Absolutely.
This is why investigative journalism is so important, is because how else are we supposed to know if the government's telling the truth?
Right. I got a little caught up in my own journalism ploy. I apologize.
And of course, it's utterly impossible. I think it would even be impossible for an algorithm to write something unbiased because a person programmed that algorithm. Maybe if you could get a few layers of separation in there, you could get unbiased facts, but then.
Which is therefore proving my point, because I want to clarify the reason that I say that is because there's a lot of people in the populace, there's a lot of people that are politically uninformed to that fact, and that as somebody who is involved in the field, that is something that bothers me all the time, is that people will, they're sort of like the, how do I put this? They're the skim and glance politicians of the world, and that bothers me. I'm getting a little biased myself, ironically enough.
I mean, I think most people are really concerned about the daily grind of the day. I can understand that. Like, if you're concerned about feeding your family, what time do you have to really worry about these larger issues?
That is true. That is very true.
It's difficult. And I think that, honestly, our political system and how it's set up and how it really feeds off of our capitalist system, you know, the kind of marriage that you have between those two systems really takes advantage of the fact that most people don't have the time to be really well informed about this.
Which indeed comes down to a point that I'd like to point out, which is that because people are unable to be relatively informed because of the grind that they have to consistently go on to in order to feed their family and even themselves in this high-risk economy that we have fiscally, it's very difficult for people to be informed, which makes it very easy for people to push propaganda in the pose of actual logistic politics.
Right, and they might not even know it.
Right, and that's the other thing, is people have been bred in educational systems. I know I'm going a little far off the deep end here, but
this is a rabbit trail.
This is a rabbit trail. I'll admit. I'm not going to sit here and say, but I've just noticed that there are certain things that I've observed where people are taught to think less and follow more.
Right.
Which is an unfortunate thing, because education is the key to a successful population. You can ask any of the old-time politicians from way back in the day, and they will be pushing FDR pushing the letter on education, which nowadays has not been. It hasn't been as advocated for.
Well, you know that a population who is unable to critically think for themselves is far easier to govern.
Absolutely.
So I'm not saying that this isn't actually on purpose.
Right.
I don't mean that there's like a grand puppet master at the top of this who is controlling all of these things. It's just that this is how things have happened to come about given our capitalistic system.
Mm-hmm. And just an old school saying that I usually follow is, when in doubt, both. I believe that there are certain people that are pulling the strings in our political aspect. Missing my terms here, in our economy and in our government, but I also believe that these are symptoms and side effects of a political system that has not been thoroughly updated or maintained over the years to match its populace.
I totally agree. I think the founding fathers actually, at the heart of this, expected there to be a revolution every generation or so, where we did reset things.
Yeah.
And that has not really happened. You have the big shift that happened around the Gilded Age when we stamped out quite a bit of corruption.
Indeed.
But the thing is, with Citizens United, not to like bring that up again, but Citizens United, where we've declared that corporations are people and money is speech, you know, you really have to follow the money if you're going to figure out who is in charge of things.
Capitalism, in my opinion, is like grain salt. If you put it on top of a dish in a healthy amount, it makes everything much better. It improves the quality of the product, I will say. But if you dump salt onto your fried rice, it's gonna taste disgusting because you put too much. It overflows the taste.
This might be a conversation for another time. We can definitely debate at one point, I'm sure, the differences between
it is very hard.
economic systems, but we've really digressed from the point here, which is that
I think it's really hard for both of us to not keep our mouths shut on this particular thing.
Anyway, be careful where you source your news from.
Absolutely. Do your own research. Look into your own stuff. I know it takes some time.
If you have time and you have the means, I mean, like a cell phone, you can look up most things that are going on in the House and Senate. They have to publish these things, and you can read them for yourself.
And I will clarify, like, I have a journalism career, and I will say that I do this stuff for a living, and the tagline at the end of every single article and show I do is stay educated, stay informed, and have yourself a good week. And there's a reason that is a tagline. Moving on back to what we were talking about, this has been quite a tangent.
I don't know if we're gonna want to edit that one down. We might.
We might.
It is what we do. We want a little tangent.
Well, it seemed important to kind of set up the rest of it, but anyway, moving on to things that our illustrious dear leader has allegedly done.
President God,
it's interesting to really compare and contrast this to how Bill Clinton was impeached, because he was impeached for lying about a personal thing.
He was impeached because he got a blowjob from the secretary.
No, he was impeached because he lied about getting a blowjob from the secretary.
Which arguably,
but Newt Gingrich, who was the Speaker of the House at the time, got his panties in a bunch about this because he was looking for any excuse to actually overthrow the Democratic wing of our two-party government, which...
ulterior agendas in politics. New.
Anyway.
Such a new thought.
I will call Newt Gingrich out on this, and anyone who still gives him a platform nowadays shouldn't. Because
it's something
if you look at the damage he's done to our country with what he did with Bill Clinton, it's really... if you look into it, there's quite a bit there where things did set up some horrible things to happen. And anyway,
and
so you look at that sort of impeachment, and then you look at Richard Nixon, who lied about whether or not his party stole tapes from that place on.
In comic relief
we've got Dwayne laughing behind us.
Blowjob, also known as swizzle. Mr. Clinton got swizzle behind the Oval Office. Let me see your Oval Office face.
I want to see your Oval Swizzle.
I have to say that, what Bill Clinton lied about is actually quite tame compared to what I think Trump is covering up. He won't release his tax returns, and I think that's actually quite a big deal. We don't know what sort of money laundering he's likely been doing.
One person had an oral fixation with some lady who happened to have been, his secretary. Which let's be honest,
she was an intern. She wasn't his secretary.
Oh, she was an intern.
She was an intern.
Monica Lewinsky was the most innocent thing that could have happened in that Oval Office.
Well, and it wasn't even that he got a blowjob that was the problem.
It's he lied.
It's that he lied.
It's lied, right.
So,
right.
There seems to be, I'm not sure exactly why. I think it was Andrew Jackson was the first president to be impeached.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually remember why that was, but we know that Richard Nixon lied, and that was the problem. And we know... we know that Bill Clinton lied. So if
under the table.
Is this our standard? I mean, if this is our standard, then why haven't we done something sooner? Is my question.
that is the question.
There's lots of confirmed lying coming out of this White House where facts just don't really seem to matter. Yeah, we're going there.
We need to find a way to put the little chat post just pasted right here.
We could do them as a pop-up or something like that.
It says she couldn't clean her dress. Oh no!
Oh, Tony!
Oh no!
You should just put that up and make sure they see it. Yeah, in her Ukrainian accent.
Is it? I get it mixed up. Is it Ivanka or Melania Trump?
This is Melania.
Melania.
Yes.
Ivanka Trump is his daughter who has really benefited from nepotism.
Right.
You have Kellyanne Conway who hucked her products on Fox News. It said, buy Ivanka Trump stuff, which is illegal and actually should have been prosecuted because
all of your education to Trump University. What a
Trump University has been disbanded for a long time. That's not actually an issue anymore.
Right.
Even though it is questionable that we elected a shill to the highest governmental office.
I mean, you look back at the Minnesota State Fair special when I had talked to people about, Donald Trump winning the election, and there were one of the guys, I forget his name, but he seemed very educated on the aspect, and I kind of felt bad for pranking him a little bit, but he told me straight up, he was like, I didn't sleep that night the moment he went in, and I'm like, I don't really blame you.
I think a good chunk of the population was quite upset when it was announced that he had won the election. And I say this as somebody who actually is quite critical of corporate Democrats such as Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think that they necessarily have the populace's best interest at heart, but I certainly don't think Donald Trump does.
Absolutely not. And I won't go into a huge tangent past this, but I genuinely felt conflicted in the past election because I didn't know who to vote for because I didn't want Hillary Clinton. There were a couple of points that conservative people made about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton had a couple of things I did not approve of. But legitimately, Hillary Clinton had some shisty background deals that seemed kind of apparent that had happened.
Well, I really have a problem with career politicians.
Yes,
that's my big issue. And I don't think that anyone should be able to get rich off of serving the country.
Absolutely.
That's a flaw in the system that we need to address.
Yes, and that's another thing. I had a couple of people, these are the people that are the skin deep political activists that I see that I said that too, and they criticized me because they looked at me and said, "Oh, you're going up against Hillary Clinton because she's a woman." And I went, "No."
Right.
Goodness me, I don't care about the genitalia in office as long as they do their job. Hillary Clinton, if she was good enough, could go ahead, do her politics, and then go watch Lifetime Movie Network again for all I care. I didn't care. And that's a little sexist for me, actually, saying that. There's the badge right there.
At least you acknowledge your biases.
Yeah.
Which is appreciated.
Well, yeah, but you have to. So,
right.
But, Tony, what do you think of this whole agenda? Like, what do you think about what we're talking about?
It's always so fascinating to me because it's always there's always a bunch of aesthetic reasons why people are swaying the way they are. And like my thing is I can't stand like a centrist corporate Democrat. They bug the hell out of me.
I hear
Specifically, like specific reasoning, like when Keith Ellison was trying to be leader of the DNC, there were a bunch of people, including my own relatives, that were saying stuff like, why I'm going to leave the Democratic Party if he's chosen. I'm like, excuse me? And a bunch of them cited reasons like anti-Semitism. I'm like, back it up. Who the hell did he endorse in the 2016 election? It wasn't the only Jewish man, was it? No. For the love of God.
I don't think Keith Ellison is an anti-Semite. There was some questionable stuff around how he treated an ex-girlfriend, but I don't know what came of that. I didn't actually keep up on the story, so that might be something to look into. But
yes.
But I also have a problem with corporate centrist Democrats because they pretend to be the left wing, balancing out like the conservative far right, but they really aren't. We're looking at a bunch of centrists. If you want to look at somebody who actually is progressive, I mean, Nancy Pelosi is not a progressive. Hillary Clinton is not a progressive.
No.
Even though she's a woman, it doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't subscribe to the neoliberalism that has dominated from the 90s on.
And let me clarify, I love Dahlia Jade's tie-in here. Yeah, Dahlia Jade says, Hillary is the tranny in charge. Why did Bill cheat?
Oh.
Goodness me.
No, he cheated because she was frigid.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with the parts.
I have never seen her. Look, she has the eyes of like the frozen people from
we
Game
don't
of
need to be
Thrones.
picking on Hillary Clinton. We don't need to kick somebody when they've already been defeated, and that was a really unkind thing for me to say. But
look, sometimes you gotta just let the politics go. But here's another thing. Going back on the point that something I'd like to address is stereotypes, because a big thing that I'm usually about addressing are stereotypes and stigma. And there are two stereotypes that I have noticed in both parties when it comes to the left and the right in our two-party system that has a tendency to exclude a gigantic amount of the population that has different aspects and opinions. The usual stereotype I see with the right movement is, imagine you're stuck up like Christian father that upholds the tradition. We're a family.
We're Republicans.
We're Republicans. We're a family. We don't betray our tradition. Oh no, gosh, we're going to hell if we betray our tradition.
And then you get this, and this is the other one that I need to address that I think is really that a lot of people don't consider is, and mind you, I'm somebody that veers a little bit more to the left, but I'd like to address the stereotype. Democrats in a lot of cases, like they advertise something of a savior mentality about saving the planet, saving the world, saving the people, and that's all good and dandy, and I believe that a lot of those causes can be just, but it can very much be a face for the same corporate corruption that the Republicans are posting off themselves.
In all things, follow the money.
Follow the money.
Who's paying them?
Quoting
and if you actually look at who's paying Congress, it's all the same 6 corporations who own everything. And this really is where the problem is. You're looking at, two wings of the same bird. And,
absolutely.
And for this reason, I'm neither a Republican or a Democrat. I am anti-authoritarian. Yes. I think that the corporations have too much power. I think that politicians have too much power, and it would be in our benefit to really pull some of that back from them, because they shouldn't have this kind of stranglehold over our lives.
Quoting Tony Lee, and this is something that I really like that he posted, what is missing? Actual representation.
Yes, I agree. I feel like the vast majority of people aren't represented by their representatives because you have to look at who's paying them.
Absolutely.
And psychology has shown that if somebody gives you money, you're more likely to do what they want. Like that's just
good
we
business.
know this about people.
In a certain
this is just something about people. And maybe for that reason, what we actually need to do is get money out of politics. And maybe we could solve some of our problems if this weren't what everything hinged upon.
Here's something that I'd like to use as an example that I had noticed that is a very, very constant thing. I had mentioned this channel earlier because I'm an avid motorcyclist. I love my bikes. And the Canadian channel, God bless their souls, Ryan F9 from the channel Fort9 had an explanation in a video about how motorcycle dealerships will sell their bullcrap through press conferences and money, just like making everything look shiny and nice. And I'll send Tony the link. He can post it over.
Harley Davidson.
Harley Davidson, yes. There's a bunch of big companies that do that. It's not just Harley Davidson. It's Ducati, it's Moto Guzzi, it's even Yamaha and Suzuki. Some are better than others in certain cases. But my parallel here that I'd like to address is the fact that people do the same thing in politics, which is why capitalism, which is really the aspect that I'm getting at here, should be something that we should take out of politics, especially with, like, getting back to what you said, taking the money out of politics. Money is a tool. It should never be an incentive of legal rights, human rights, legal rights.
Right. There shouldn't be, and if you read the news, you know that rich people get treated differently in our judicial system than
There's
poor
a reason
people.
that they're referred to as the 1%, is because that 1% gets a significant treatment.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you have money for representation that is different than, like, the court-ordered lawyer who's overworked and working too many cases because there's a lot of things going through our judicial system.
Absolutely.
Like, you're going to have an advantage over somebody who's poor, and our systems weren't meant to do that.
Absolutely. But on that end, we have gotten very political. This has been the most political show we've done.
Whoops.
Honestly, I liked it. If you, the audience, liked it too, by all means, in any sort of way, look us up on Facebook, look us up on YouTube, leave a comment below, and tell us, would you like to hear more about the political side? Because we might start an entire different segment, in the TDES Talks realm, we'll call it. TDES Talks to the World. We might even title it. I don't know. But if you guys like
Ariadne rants.
If you guys like this kind of politica topic discussion, then let us know, and we will put it together for you. Absolutely. So.
All right, we're going to have Dahlia squeeze on in.
Yeah, this is an awkward thing, so one more anonymous beeping in the background. And that is all the time that we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. The trifecta of the Too Damn Early Show and more to come. We're gonna take a little bit of a break to get our stuff together so that we can give you the best content possible. So do us a favor, be patient, and we will be back in about a few weeks. So just be patient, we're gonna put some stuff together. But in the meantime, as you guys know, is the end of the show. You can always find us on Facebook and YouTube at Too Damn Early Show, where you can watch our video podcast. You can also catch us on the other socials, such as Twitter at 2DamnEarlyFM, Instagram at 2DamnEarlyShow. And then what else do we have, Ariadne?
Podcast downloaders such as iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and Google Play Music.
And what about those two androids that we have floating around?
The androids?
Yeah, the androids. Where can you find
where
those?
are those androids?
So don't forget
see them. Alexa. And the assistant of Google.
You should really make sure that you've switched over your settings to the Samuel L. Jackson
Just saying.
settings for Alexa.
It would be opportune,
Don't ever not listen to me,
I had to drop it. Just go, Alexa or Hey Google, play the Too Damn Early Show podcast, or on TuneIn for Alexa specifically. And you can also go to our podcast being host, who has been gracious enough to have us Podbean online at 2damnearlyshow.podbean.com, as well as their apps for iOS and Android. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as an inspirational for you guys, as I quote always on my journalism show, stay educated and stay informed. The best thing you can do for yourself, the best weapon you always have, with the mind that you have right here.
Yep.
And follow the money.
And follow the money.
Well, everybody else says you might as well.
Quoting Chris Tucker, there's always a rich white man who's waiting for his cut.
I want to follow the pennies. I want to follow the pennies.
In all things, follow the money.
Yep.
To our listeners on Cape Cod Beyond, I'm D Max.
I'm Delia Jade.
And I'm Ariadne.
And from you to us, you've been listening to the Too Damn Early Show, and we bid you good morning.
Good morning.
And we'll catch you guys next time. Keep an eye out for updates.